Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the game news in the industry, and of course stream for fun. Today we're going to be going over the gaming news, January 8th through the 14th, and boy, this is actually a pretty full one. We're also going to have some other states of gaming coming up, which is going to be a 2 or 3 part series, because there's so much to go over, and it's really between PlayStation and Xbox, and I think it's going to help kind of form the next decade for the gaming industry. So go ahead and stay tuned for that. But for gaming news, we're going to be talking about some more layoffs. We're going to be talking about a Chinese company selling their gaming assets and how they're doing as a company, and also some changes that the CCP has done with regulations to microtransactions, which I think we briefly touched on last week. We're also going to be talking about something Sony is releasing shortly. We're going to take a look at what IGN thought of Suicide Squad, and boy, Star Citizen made it in the news again. Just craziest microtransaction you'll ever hear, folks. I also got a little bit with Microsoft and use of AI, along with Hasbro, and yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff here on AI usage and how it's affecting the industry some. And really, it's affecting jobs. And then we're also going to talk about CD Projekt Red, taking a look at some numbers for the cost of Cyberpunk. And then we're also going to take a look at some old EA sell numbers from someone that did some work on Twitter. So hopefully you guys are doing well. You can go ahead and like and sub and all that with the channel. YouTube is at Gaming Garbage 22, and also Twitch is Don't Tread on Thee. Excuse me, I got the hiccups this morning. It's pretty early in the morning, and if you'd like to, you can also speed this up to about 1.25 times if you're watching this on YouTube, just to help get through this a little quicker. I know I always value my time too. Let's see, last little bit too on news around the world. Man, if you're skiing right now in some areas of the United States, boy, be careful. We've had several avalanches, and very unexpected, and a ton of snow dumping all at once, and so they don't even have time to really check the slopes, which in my opinion, the slopes shouldn't even be open, but just be aware of that if you're going to go play in the mountains up in the snow. And looks like, too, we're at war with another country or with another group of people. The United States, Britain, and Canada started having airstrikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen, which they've been attacking ships and stuff in the Red Sea, which has been disrupting trade through the Suez Canal and stuff. And that's been a big mess, especially if you're in Europe. You're going to see some inflation from that in the coming months, because stuff's going to be delayed or just not going to be coming through there. And so, yeah, we're fighting somebody else again. It's like we can't get away from this, folks. It's just crazy. And then, too, boy, the weather that we've had, just the disasters that we've had. I mean, we've had earthquakes and tsunamis, and we've had these avalanches, and we had, like, tornadoes in Florida. And we've had some crazy weather, too. If you're over at kind of like northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin, you're going to get like 10 inches of snow. You guys are going to get dumped on over there. Got a huge snowstorm over by the Great Lakes, so just be also aware of that. But hey, let's go ahead and get into the news. It's a little less depressing, a little less exciting. Well, maybe not a little less exciting, but you know what I mean. Okay, so Twitch is going to be having more layoffs. They've already fired about 400 employees. They've also fired executives from earlier last year. And they didn't anticipate having to fire any more, but here we go. We're laying off another batch of 500 workers, which is now 35% of the workforce. This is just crazy. And this, too, is the largest amount they've ever laid off. So we know that Amazon is cutting back, like they've cut permits on building new warehouses for distribution. They've cut back vendors. They've cut back drivers. They've cut back also on their like movie studios, and they've cut back on Twitch, and they are still having layoffs on stuff, folks. So they're continuing to tighten their belt, and these cancellation of permits and selling buildings and laying off people, they've been doing this since 2022. So we're just getting into our, basically our second full year of this. And we know too that there's they're saying that it's because of macroeconomic challenges. Well, yeah, when you don't stimulate and give people just free money, the price has to come down. The demand is going to come down because people have less money. It's a simple supply and demand feature with inflation and how much free money people have. So yeah, it hurts everybody. Twitch streamers too have been complaining since the beginning of 2023 that they're also getting less revenue. There's also changes with like the revenue splits, and they're also kind of changing and altering some of their content guidelines, you could say, to try to probably get more revenue and get more people in there, which like Twitch just went insane. And yeah, so they're trying to everything they can. And then the partnerships they've been adjusted to, and some people have quit Twitch because they're not making enough and they can make more somewhere else. So streamers are feeling the pain. Certainly Twitch is feeling the pain if they're laying off everybody. And with all of this chaos going on, I still haven't gotten anything from the tickets that I put in. I put in 2 tickets for my audio issues on my Xbox while streaming with their platform. With their service, and never got anything back. But with more layoffs, I highly doubt those are probably just in a deep hole somewhere. They're probably not coming back. I got that story off of MSN, but it's kind of all over. Next is I got from the Verge, excuse me, and it looks like some gaming assets are for sale. So ByteDance, you guys probably don't know them personally, but you probably know TikTok or CapCut. They're the owners of that. And they're talking with multiple buyers right now, including the Chinese company Tencent, and they're pretty much looking to get out of gaming. I mean, they're going to sell what they have, and which is Marvel Snap and Mobile Legends Bang Bang. They're going to get out of that, and they're going to look to sell it for somebody. This is also right after the CCP brought new regulations to the industry on microtransactions. So like, they were banning daily logins. They were banning loot boxes. They were banning all sorts of stuff, and also very restrictive of others. It's very, very bad in China. It's getting so bad that they're limiting this. They're saying it too that it's for it's for the kids or the children, but we saw a massive drop in stock loss for Tencent and for NetEase, both Chinese companies. And ByteDance, well, they had to restructure some, and they weren't able to do it. And so, they're basically defaulting, and so they got to restructure a little harder, and they got to sell some stuff. So they're getting out of their gaming space. Because so far, they've only generated less than 1% of their profits in 2023 from gaming. And so they're just not making any money in it. And again, this is another example of how the economy is really doing worldwide. Is that when people don't have money, they don't have stimmies, they don't have no easy access because interest rates are insane. I just saw my credit card got to 29 point whatever percent, basically 30% now interest on my credit card. My other credit card that was a low rate is now 20%. Which is better, but boy, it's just crazy, folks. And so they're not making money. And I remember when Marvel Snap came out, it really wasn't that long ago, and Marvel Snap is just not really making anything. And Mobile Legends too. I mean, that's been a running circus mobile game for a while, and they've definitely made some money on that, but boy, not right now. So they had to fail to recoup development costs of $14 million, which is a lot of Chinese money over there. And they're just looking to sell. So we'll see who gets the IPs, who gets the assets, because somebody is, and they'll probably get it pretty soon. Because ByteDance, they have to have money. So they're going to continue with TikTok. They're going to continue with CapCut, and the other stuff that they have. ByteDance is actually pretty big. But yeah, they're going to get out of gaming. But yeah, I think it's another win for microtransactions. I think it's another win against mobile gaming and just how predatory that is. Because yeah, people aren't buying it, which is great, and we shouldn't, folks. We should buy real games, put our money where our love is of gaming. Let's see, something else is this was from N4G. They were the first ones to share that I saw that Sony was releasing new side panels. So we got to see a show at the CES 2024, and PlayStation had a little booth there showing off new side panels that were colored. So we had all colors in matte of blue, silver, and red. Honestly, the red looked pretty sweet. And the panels also were looked like for the slim models and also for those that had a disk drive. So it looks like there's going to be both options. This is going to retail for $55 for these panels, for a set of panels. Yeah, exactly when they're going to be available should be sometime later this year. But yeah, another just accessory of Sony trying to, trying to get some stuff. And Xbox definitely does this too. And then so do third parties. Good grief, the amount of accessories you can buy for your PlayStation or for your Xbox is just insane. And most of it really isn't worth it. But yeah, if you actually want to change the panels on your PlayStation, you can. You can get rid of that kind of boring white color and get this kind of like deep blue, kind of a vibrant red and silver. So let me know what you think, folks. Do you think that's worth it? $55. Can't even afford it right now. I barely can, so I'd rather buy a game. Moving on to IGN. So they took a look at Suicide Squad. They didn't have a ton of hours, but they had, several hours to play, and they honestly were not impressed. Quote, "I was less optimistic about Suicide Squad when I stopped playing than when I started. Here's hoping it wins me back." So that's not good, folks. And there's other reviewers out there too that are talking about stuff, and it is not looking good. Just kind of boring combat. The environment is bland. They try to make it actiony, but it just doesn't roll off that way all the time. And some of the things focus pretty heavily around microtransactions in the store and the battle pass. And then, too, just the constant talking of the characters. And we mentioned this, too, even with just Call of Duty Vanguard and with Zombies in Modern Warfare 3. It's just like, in Forspoken and all of these games right now, it's over the last several years, it's just characters have to constantly keep talking. And the one that really got on my nerves that I really saw first was Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Like, that was just not a game I enjoyed. I didn't like the layout, and part of the thing that was frustrating was just the characters that you couldn't even see, really, you couldn't even play with, were just constantly talking all the time. And man, that just got old, and so other people are feeling the same thing. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a wait and see on this one. This is going to launch February 2nd of this year, so literally like 3 weeks away. And but yeah, it does have basic combat for the most part. I mean, everybody kind of is going to be able to have guns, and each one will have kind of a special ability or certain power. But generally speaking, all of us are going to be dead shot, shooting with guns and stuff, shooting at purple pimples. It should be a blast against Brainiac. And then there's also going to be a battle pass and in-game store. The seasonal content will be free, which I think that will be like Halloween and Christmas and New Year's and that kind of thing. I think that's going to be free. But yeah, this is not going to play as Batman Arkham. Not even close. And Rocksteady, I think, has really changed the formula in the wrong direction, like a lot of games have this decade. And if you haven't really seen the trailers, look at the latest trailers. And this, too, has already been delayed 3 times so far. So the initial release was supposed to be 2022. Think of that, folks. The first delay was to spring of 23, so like April-ish. March, April, and then the second delay was to May 26th, and then they delayed it again to February 2nd in 2024. So, yeah, man, I don't think they can delay it again because I think people are losing hope that this is actually going to be good. Well, we do have some previews finally. So I do think it's going to come out this time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have shoved out the preview content out there for people to try. Next, you guys voted for the worst game of the year. Thank you, those for that watch the worst game of the year. I know it's just like this, right? Not really a lot to see. It's just me talking, right? But I was with, or no, that was Gaming Recap. There is that one too. Gaming Recap of 2023. I did that one with Line, and that one was fun. We got some great talking points in the year there for 2023. But yeah, the worst game of the year. I went over each game, and you guys voted that the worst game of the year was the day before, and I couldn't agree more with that. Just how they handled stuff, how they, $40 for early access that was only up for 4 days, and they still made millions off of that trash excuse of a game. And yeah, the servers are going offline, or if they aren't already, and just horrible. Like, and then to them trying to change their name of the company and coming out with another game shortly here on Steam, and just how scammy. Like, I just could not work for a company like that. Remember, folks, you can choose who you work for. I know times are hard, things are tough for everybody. Inflation still feels insane. The cost of living is through the roof. And, just hold on. But even in tough times, you can still choose who you work for. Does it take more work? Sure, it does. But everything good takes work. Yeah, worst game of the year was freaking the day before, man. It's just, I hope there's nothing worse this year. Really. Like, I hope we can get away from Gollum, Forspoken, Redfall, the boringness of Starfield. I hope we can get away from Walking Dead Destinies and Rise of Kong and the day before. I hope we can kind of get away from these games and we can actually have something that's generally good almost all year. Some other news is Star Citizen. So this game has been out for like 18 years now in development. It's been a beta technically. And, they have crowdsourced $650 million for this game, and it still isn't even out. I mean, this game cost more than Destiny 1. This game cost more than freaking GTA 5. This game cost more than even Cyberpunk 2077, including the DLC that they made, Phantom Liberty. So this game has got to be like the most expensive game on record, unless it's been like World of Warcraft over the years, or EVE Online, or StarCraft, or something like that, right? But yeah, this is crazy. $650 million. And they got their newest bundle, which is only available for those that have already spent $10,000 in the game. And it's a $48,000 bundle for 175 ships between the different companies in the game so that you can build your legacy. $48,000. Like, this game is definitely built for the whales, and it's not even technically a game because it's not released yet. I don't think it ever will be, but holy smokes. I mean, that has got to be the worst microtransaction I've ever heard of. $48,000. And, man, I've watched some of these conventions, these Starfield conventions or developer talks or whatever, and, I mean, the players are just absolutely sold on a lie, and just the FOMO and hype and digging into stuff. And this game is definitely built for the whales now, the people that have a lot of money or that are willing to go into debt for a video game. And that's insane, folks. I worry too about this in the gaming industry, is that a lot of things are going to get to a point where the whales take control, where they're just focusing on making games for those that have the most money, and they're not really making games for the masses anymore. And in a way, I do think it's splitting. I think the recession that we, quote, don't have is helping kind of bring reality back to a lot of these publishers, to ensure that the games are of quality, that they're actually providing value, that it's worth $70 for a game. I was just talking with somebody yesterday about that, as just how crazy it's just like it's $70, but it's more buggy, it's more trashy, it's more boring, it's just the recut stuff assets from previous games a lot of the time. Not that that doesn't work, but they do it as a shortcut. They don't do it to actually make a good game. Because there's nothing wrong with using old assets, like Miles Morales. That one was used from older assets of an engine and game they already made, and it did great. I mean, that sold over 10 million copies so far, and it made them a ton of money. It was also cheaper to make, and it also came out sooner. But boy, we got these games now where it's just like, good God, this is not worth $70. And as we feel the pinch and we withhold from these companies, they're going to feel the pinch too, and that is what's going to force them to change. So continue to push on, folks. Really dig into the reviews. Really watch the trailers. Really watch the gameplay. Watch streamers on launch, okay, for whatever game you want to get. Make sure that you're spending your money well, because we willy-nillied tens or hundreds of billions over the last several years to these gaming companies all over the world. And, you know, we kind of did it to ourselves. We have what we have because we've chosen to buy it. And we got to stop doing that. But yeah, Star Citizen's got to take the cake for the worst microtransaction. That's crazy. Getting into next is stuff on AI. So a lot of this was from the Angry Joe show. And so we've seen Microsoft now being accused of using AI to make art to promote indie games. There isn't a lot of context for this, but some of the artwork looks AI generated, like things don't quite go together like they should or get put together like they should, and like, you know, an AI art software doesn't understand yet. They probably will. Some of them have gotten actually pretty good. But yeah, there's been no comment from Microsoft. They probably won't either. But you know, a huge company like Microsoft, I mean, they are a massive, massive, massive company. I mean, let's see. Well, last year they made $211 billion. So that you think they could pay some artists to actually, you know, make some stuff. Also, too, Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, has also been found to use AI programs after it was banned. After the company said, no, we're not going to do this. And they've been found out they've been using AI art anyway. And we also have something else where AI programs actually scrape artwork and learn styles and then mesh stuff together and then create artwork off of that. And at what point is stuff copyright, folks? You know, technically it's a different piece, and there is like fair use policy. But boy, at what point is this being destroyed? Because definitely, you know, a program can make something beautiful so far, but it's not art because there's no passion or emotion in it. Okay, the AI just takes whatever you transcribed and just shoves it on there. Like, if you want to play with it, it is fun. You can use Imagine. I'm not promoting that or anything. I just have it myself. I've played with it some. But yeah, you could use Imagine. Basically write out what you want the artwork to look like, and then the AI little thing makes it for you. And it is interesting to play with, but there's definitely issues there. But we even have artists that are coming out now because of these programs, and they call themselves AI artists. And it's where people take credit for what the AI has done. Which is stupid. They didn't make the AI program. They basically just wrote in a description of what the artwork should look like. You know, the program does it, and then they take credit for it. But like these scraping programs, I mean, there's been scraping off of like Magic cards. There's been scraping off of just tens of thousands of websites, and you know, these programs take little bits and pieces and cobble it all together, and or to also get really, really close to the actual material. And again, at what point is it too much? Even authors that have published books, they're suing ChatGPT right now on copyright infringement because the published material that they have, you know, the ChatGPT is supposed to kind of like source those or kind of pull from those on the creative side of the engine. But it's too close. And so that's the argument from these authors, is that, hey, what ChatGPT is writing for these stories for people, creative stories for folks, is that it's too close to the actual material that I've published in my books, or that my coworkers or the publishing house has published. And so yeah, ChatGPT is being sued right now, and that'll probably work its way through the courts this year and into next year, depending on how far Microsoft wants to push it. And this wouldn't necessarily be an issue if there wasn't any money involved. But I'm guessing that ChatGPT has made some articles that are being turned in or being written where there's money involved, and then the authors are basically getting stolen from, and they're not getting any share of those profits. So I'm guessing. The story wasn't super clear, but I'm guessing that's what that's coming from. But ultimately, hey, if you're any type of an artist, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's art, or any other form, I would seriously think about not doing it as a career choice. Maybe something on the side, but definitely have a different job somewhere else, because no matter what, whether it's the corporate or private side, AI is going to continue to be used and continue to be improved until it just takes over. And people always gravitate to what's easiest and what's cheapest. And so, yeah, this is going to change several industries, and people are going to lose their jobs too because of this. Again, are people going to want to pay for a real artwork of hundreds of dollars, maybe? Or are people okay with just what AI can create? And if I'm not looking for top quality that's going to cost a butt ton of money, I'm okay with AI. But again, it's like, it's going to totally change the industry for a lot of people. And it's already hard being an artist, whatever the type, and it's just going to make it that much harder, because the program never sleeps. And true AI can learn forever. There's no stopping it. And it's not like this is going away. And even ChatGPT is open source. Anybody can use it for pretty much whatever. There's some parameters, but I would seriously consider your career path. Do something that programs and robots can't do yet. or won't be able to do for a while. Like pouring concrete, right? That'd be great. That'd be good. Also, Duolingo is a Google translation company. So they make sure things are translated properly between languages. And they have now laid off most of their workers, as they're now using AI to take over those positions and those roles to translate. And then there's only a few human employees left to check the AI's work. But this is becoming a problem because the translations are starting to be wrong. There's other issues, or there's misusage of grammar, or things aren't conveyed properly, and the humans can't keep up. And so there's way too much material to go over to make sure that the AI is doing it properly. And so that's just another example too, that it's like, if you're a transcriber, if you work in the digital world of work, of your career field, I would seriously think about changing careers if you're really, really young and just getting started. Because anything that is computerized or digitized, AI is going to be able to work and do. And even in the physical world, robots are starting to take over a little bit more than they have in the past. And so, like McDonald's has a test program where the entire McDonald's and drive-through and everything, everybody in the kitchen is a robot. There's no humans there. And, this is a pilot program. Probably going to be a pilot program for a year or maybe a couple of years to kind of work out the bugs. But, I mean, if it's feasible, they're going to put it in every single freaking McDonald's. And so if I was working at McDonald's, I'd be scared out of my mind. And the future of all this, too, folks, is that, AI programs and robotics, they're going to come for the lowest level jobs. So if you can make it at home, or do it at home, or do it in the digital space, you're at risk of being replaced. Building a house, pouring concrete, making a factory, being a dog groomer even at this point is still, I would think, pretty safe, because the amount of finesse to groom a dog, it takes work, and it takes precision, and that's just too expensive right now. But we might eventually get there too. But like, We have self-driving vehicles, even on the commercial side, even on the industrial side. We have transcribers and translators that are being removed, actively being removed from the workforce. They're losing their job. And then we have McDonald's that are like using Flippy the Arm and other robots and programs to basically run an entire fast food place to serve food. So, I mean, they've already gotten the point of sales, right? You just tap it into a screen, tell them what your order is, or do it over the phone. But, I mean, this is starting to get kind of real, folks. Now, maybe as a percentage, a lot of people won't lose their jobs, but this is going to affect hundreds of thousands of people in the coming decade, and that's just in the United States. So, yeah, be careful of where your job is or where you're planning on going or what you're getting your degree in. Really make sure that it's sound tight, because no robot's going to go into a freaking ocean and weld underwater, right? We're not there yet. We still need people for that. No programs and robots are going to fix cars. Still need people for that. So yeah, pick your job wisely. Let's see, moving on. There's also been a lot happening with studios lately, as we know. There's been layoffs, mergers, and closures. And so the chief strategy officer at CD Projekt Red has basically said that Project Red is not for sale. That it's going to continue to stay independent almost as it has for 30 years. And again, they've been making stuff for a long time. And Cyberpunk did pretty well, but not at launch. And so we're actually going to go over the numbers on this. I just thought this was pretty interesting. But yeah, the original budget of Cyberpunk was $316 million. The time and money to fix it was $126 million, because the game is very buggy. There were refunds, all that kind of stuff. The DLC to make was $84 million, and the refunds even were $51 million. So that's a total of $577 million to make everything that has been a part of Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Liberty. So far, they've sold about 25 million copies, and they've also sold about 5 million copies of Phantom Liberty. 94% of the sales were digital, which tells me that people didn't go out and buy the physical copies, because again, the launch of the game was horrible, and so people waited for a sale, including myself. I didn't buy a digital copy, I bought a physical one, but I waited for the price to go down, and I bought it, I want to say, for $30, which was basically half off, which is a great deal, especially with how they've improved it by now. I want to eventually re-dig into it again and see how it is. The total revenue for Project Red was about $1 billion when you take over the sales and everything, and that includes Phantom Liberty, the DLC, and so yeah, they still made some money, which is good. They made probably around $300 million, but man, $1 billion in revenue, and it cost to fix and refund and DLC and the budget and everything else $577 million. Man, these games are getting expensive, folks. That's crazy. This is actually one of the most expensive games to date. It still doesn't beat Destiny 1, which made $500 million at launch, and they said that helped them break even. So the game cost $500 million to make, and $500 million in today's money, or the amount of money it would take to pay for $500 million back then, would be $650 million. So CD Projekt Red almost got there with Cyberpunk. But yeah, Destiny was a huge game. It was a long time in development, and they continue to maintain it and grow it, as we know, which completely created the massive fan base that Bungie had with Destiny until they screwed it up. But yeah, massive game. We do know there's a new game that's been confirmed by CD Projekt Red, The Witcher Polaris. That's the code name. We're probably about 4 years away from that game actually launching, so don't get your hopes up. It's going to take a while, but it's supposed to be a new character, kind of a new side storyline, quest line, all that good stuff. So it's just going to be different, but it's still going to be in the universe of The Witcher. In my opinion, is that we're going to see like his son maybe or his daughter, something like that. That's my guess. Cyberpunk 2, this has also been one of the most expensive games. But 2, something we're going to get into with the PlayStation and Xbox Hot War State of Gaming when I get there, is that we're going to talk about the actual cost of AAA games, and if they're really worth spending that much. Are they really getting that type of return back? If the game's really good, or they actually fix it and take care of it, like I'm sure Hello Games has made a ton of money off of No Man's Sky at this point, especially with the relaunch on Xbox and on Switch. I'm sure the game is actually quite different with a lot of the original launch stuff still there, the foundation, but they've had so many free expansions, which is wonderful, but they only did that because their game sucked. And they could have made a ton more money if the game actually had launched in even just half of the state that it did. And Sean didn't lie about stuff either. We do know that they have a new game coming out. Hopefully they've learned. Light No Fire, I think is what it's called. Interesting title, but it's supposed to be like a full-sized Earth planet of exploration and stuff. So instead of a whole bunch of planets to explore that are procedurally generated, we're probably just going to get one big planet that's procedurally generated with different players and stuff. So that'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. Moving on to the last piece. So Timmer222 on Twitter did some research, and he was able to find some material from an ex-EA executive listing out his achievements. And he took a snapshot on the LinkedIn page of this executive, and we got to see some interesting numbers. So Anthem came out quite a while ago. I think that was like 2017. And that was BioWare's disaster, which they've even said that they're not going to try that again. They're going to stick to just making games like Dragon Age and Mass Effect. And they're going to stick with that because they know how to do that, and that's what works. Which, yeah, that's smart. It's maybe a little boring, but it's not very boring when you're hemorrhaging money and you're going broke. That's not very fun at all. And so boring is good, folks. I promise. It really is. So the goal for Anthem, we're not going to just go over Anthem, we'll go over some other numbers too. But yeah, the goal for Anthem was 6 million copies in the first month. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the first week, they had 2 million copies sold. So, they were doing pretty damn good. Their lifetime, so far, their lifetime has been 5 million copies. So they didn't even reach their goal of 6 million within the first month. They're still 1 million short. And they had a massive slowdown at the rate at which people were buying it. Because, yeah, the game was horrible. I mean, I did a preview, and I had some friends that were excited about it, and I was like, I'm iffy, because there's some issues with the little trial we got, and I'm going to wait. And boy, am I glad I did. I saved my money on that one. That was back when games were $60 too. Do you miss that yet? We also found out that Anthem devs worked 90-hour work weeks, and they made the game in 15 months. And that's horrible. That's horrible. 90 hours a week. I don't even do that. Well, I guess I do that sometimes, but if you were going to fit 90 hours in a week, even, excuse me, folks, still getting over being sick a little bit. I do feel a lot better. Thank you for asking. Even at 12 hours, 7 days a week, that would be 84 hours. You're still short 6 hours. So did they work like 13-hour days? Or did they work 6 out of the 7? Which at that point you'd have to work like... Oh god, that's disgusting. Yeah, you'd have to work like 15 hours a day. Holy frick, folks. Oh, man, I couldn't do it. There's no way. I work enough. You know, I work 12s. My longest week was 144, but that was spread over 12 days. Sure, it was a lot of work, but 90 hours a week. Yeah, 15-hour shifts, folks. That's stupid. That's crazy. So yeah, the Anthem definitely did not hit their goal, right? But we got some other EA games. So Battlefield 1, they sold 21 million copies in their first year, which, frick yeah. That is still my favorite Battlefield. I love that game. And there's still some people playing on it too, which is hilarious. There's actually about as many people playing Battlefield 1 as playing Battlefield 2042. Which, yeah, is hilarious. I find that hilarious. Jedi Fallen Order sold 10 million copies. There's no context for this, so that's probably lifetime. 10 million, that's pretty dang good. And then Star Wars Battlefront sold 50 million. Star Wars Battlefront 1. 50 million copies. Folks, they made a butt ton of money off of that one. I still didn't like it as much, and it definitely felt like a Battlefield, right? Like they took Battlefield and put Star Wars characters and skins over it. But I missed the fact that we couldn't get bots anymore. You know, that was a bum. You know, I kind of feel like playing the old Star Wars Battlefronts again. Those are fun, man. I miss those. We also know that Anthem is not dead. So something we got to find out earlier is a Anthem. Well, ooh, no, that might be wrong actually. I think that was in the This Week at Bungie that ended up being fake. So Aztec Cross ended up doing a fake TWAB from Bungie, right before December 25, you know, Christmas, right before Christmas, and they said that Anthem Reloaded was coming. But I gotta correct myself on that. That was a part of the TWAB, and we're probably not going to get Anthem. So EA probably still owns it. Are they going to do anything with Anthem? I have no idea. But yeah, that would be redacted too. So Bobby Kotick was retired. He's gone from Activision Blizzard. He's not working for anybody else, which is good. We're not getting some crazy delay from 2025 for the final shape. And then Anthem Reloaded is not a thing. Bungie didn't buy it. So, yeah, I gotta redact all that stuff. That sucks, folks. And I try hard to keep everything accurate. You know, there are usually, 2 to 3 hours that go into these weekly news things, and anything that might seem wrong too or incorrect, please go ahead and tell me. I would rather eat my humble pie than lie to you guys. So yeah. Again, I apologize for the inaccuracies. I'm going to work to do better. So, that's the gaming news, folks. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Don't forget to make sure you're voting for Off the Cuff. I'm going to be doing that pretty soon. Actually, that one might already be done. I think as many of you as wanted to vote have voted by now. And then don't forget, too, to look for the votes for the launch of 2024. I'm going to be buying whatever you guys vote for, which is basically Space Marine 2 and Star Wars Outlaws. Both of those I'm pretty excited about. And, we did have a third one, which was Flintlock, but that's coming to Game Pass. And so I'll show that to you when it comes out on Game Pass. There's going to be a bunch of games, actually, that are coming to Game Pass that I'm going to be showing. I think there's a total of 16. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me, but I at least want to do initial reviews, maybe even part 2s of those, and just to kind of give a good show of the game. And that's part of what we do here. Gaming Garbage is to basically see if it's really junk or not, to talk about the industry and what it's doing for better or for worse, and to show the gems too in the gaming space. Because really, I hate being scammed. I know everyone else does too. And that's what we really try to prevent here. We're really trying to prevent a platform for people to get information, to be able to take the best out of the gaming industry and enjoy it, and leave in the trash. Because, yeah, there's definitely some crazy scams out there. Like Modern Warfare 3. Oh man, Microsoft's got their work cut out for them with COD. I tell you, the next one, if it's not a banger, COD's going to be pretty much done, I think, if the next one is just mediocre. So that's all I got for you today, folks. And remember to stay safe out there. There's some crazy storms out there. I mean, we've had earthquakes in Japan. We also had tsunamis over there. We also have had tornadoes in Florida recently. We've had avalanches over in California because of all the snow. We're going to continue to get snow starting Friday, if it's Friday already, for you folks. I think it's Saturday today. But anyway, things are not good. So just be aware out there. Plan have some stuff in your car, and just be safe. We'll see you on the next one, folks.